Okay guys, just got the phone with Brad. Okay, so this is what we're kind of looking at. In theory, this is a really good idea. Two colors, so, you know, the Spanish sand, and then, but I mean, granted, it's going to be Spanish sand, bone, Stonegate. I do have a question about these. I would like to take that into the entire door color, but I'll let you guys decide on that. We're not to that point yet. That's usually the end. The doors are the end. So here's my issue. We take this up and it wraps all the way up, but unfortunately we're gonna have multiple places that's like this, that's gonna hang down this eave right here, so that's gonna be all that Stonegate as well. So we're gonna have a lot of places that you're gonna have that real stripy effect, you know. So you're gonna have one color, second color, third color, all within a little area, another color, and then, you know, when you're looking at it this way, it's kind of a good idea. But once we get into the low, we have so much eave work that actually drops beneath the house. And so we end up with a lot of that. And then you have areas like this, which I was kind of explaining as well, where, you know, we wipe down the gutters. We're going to get bone all through there, but that's Trex. Those are pieces of Trex, so they don't hold paint very well. So we're going to cut around each of those with a bone, you know, and get in like that. But so here's an example. We've got one color, two color, three color, four color, five color, six color, seven color, all within one like little foot area, you know. So we might end up kind of, you know, and it's like one of those things. I think we can use the Stonegate that we have and get some accent stuff going, you know, stuff like this. We paint the handrail, you know what I mean? That goes Stonegate. And then these, if the house was Spanish sand, all the house was Spanish sand, all the trim was like the garage door and the front door and this window white. All the trim is white. All the doors are Stonegate. And then underneath here, and all this stuff here, I'll show you that deck too while we're at it. Underneath all of this and underneath all the deck and everything else, that's going to be the Spanish sand. But what if this beam and all the way to the ground, all these beams, that is Stonegate? That would give you a really good accent too, because when you look up, you're going to see this big Stonegate beam, and then the underside over there is all going to be the Spanish sand, and it'll match really nicely with the deck. So that gives you some accent. All the doors would also be accented as well. A main thing too I'm really looking at is that we're going to be hit with all these windows are going to be bone. So you're going to have this, not the deck, I'm pointing through it, but we're going to have that. That's going to be Spanish sand, then bone, then bone, then bone, and then the Stonegate, then bone, and then the Stonegate on it, and then bone. So we kind of end up with it. You know, when I see things start looking, as we call it in our trade, candy cane-ish, that's when I start to mention, just a heads up, you know, it doesn't change anything for us. Trust me, doing this by hand, Stonegate, is going to be just as problematic as doing the rest of it. So it's not as if, you know, we're trying to find something for us to be easier. It's still going to suck. Pardon my French, but it's still going to be interesting. But as you notice, this was hit pretty good. This is going to look nice under here. But again, this here, and then we could keep, you know, we could just take these. We could take that big beam there. This beam, all these posts would go the Stonegate color. So here's another way to see it back here. Kind of let you take a look. So here's another example. We're gonna have multiple colors. I'm trying to get away from that sun. We're gonna have multiple colors right here. So you're gonna have, and once we get to here, we've got the bone, and then you've got the Stonegate. And if that's all the high stuff, you're gonna have every corner of the house, and especially under here, because that drops down to your head level. So especially under here, you've got, you know what I mean? We're going to have massive colors. And where do we cut this off? We're going to paint this in to the building. So that would be my theory. Under here, again, this is a area you guys probably used to eat and where everything goes down. And you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. Bam, all right here. So obviously this was going to be Stonegate. And so just when I see these things, I like to I like to throw it into the mix and just let people kind of know what we're looking at. And so you guys can decide. We're gonna proceed with the last bit of prep is done and the last bit of primer. Second coat of primer today. We had a coat yesterday and today because that was really bad under there. So that's done. So we are pretty much at this point, we're free to run. And so if we take this up or we do not, what I'll probably have my guys do is maybe even start right here and just start Spanish sand and start trucking right on along, you know, going down the building and everything else. And we still got some carpentry things I'm going to work on today when I get back. But so yeah, I mean, that's just, again, like in here, we've got a pipe. So at some point that would have to be painted in to the trim or the eave color, and then it would have to have a cut on that. It starts getting interesting, and you start getting it's a great idea in theory, but I just don't want to end up in a situation where you guys really pull up and you're like, wow, they did great work, it's a lot of prep, it looks really nice, but holy hell, we have a lot of colors right here. And I just, for us, what I usually see is like, okay, here's a great example. You know, go at it and get like one giant color that we're like super happy with and say, okay, so that's the color we're going to use, that's how we're going to do it, and that's what we do. And the Spanish sand is a perfect body color because you can accent everything. I mean, these will be cut in bone, the windows will be cut in bone, the fascia will be cut in bone, and then doors, this will be bone here, and then the door will be the stone gate. So I mean, we kind of have the ability to run with it. But I think I see these corners, and I do this every week, so I just see this massive amount of colors right here. So I just want to make sure that's the direction you guys want to go before I proceed, because once it's done, that's an expensive fix, and it's not a whole lot of fun, and it might not always be the best thing to do for if you decide in the future to sell the house too, because we often have to go and we get called from real estate to fix stuff like that, and they say, hey, can you go and try to match this, there's too many colors, or so what have you. So that's where that's at. I'm going to send this video. Give me a call. You guys have my number, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys.